Hello guys, it's me, Edo Kami-sama. I'm back with another video informing you on certain topics in Japan. Um, Today we're going to talk about tattoos and body modifications. Okay, so if you can't tell, I am somewhat, well, you probably can't see it, but I'm somewhat heavily tattooed. I have a lot of tattoos. In fact, I'm working on a huge back piece now, which at the moment itches. I mean, incredibly, just really itches. Okay, but so a lot of people have concerns about coming to this country if you have tattoos, or finding a job if you have tattoos. Well, my advice in that regard is number one, don't worry. Usually, most companies will tell you to cover up. You don't have to worry about being ridiculed so much for having tattoos, because in certain parts of Japan, for instance Tokyo, there are some people who are tattooed as well who are Japanese. And you being a foreigner, they usually tend to make an exception on that. If you want to go to onsens, well, before I came here, I was told that nobody with tattoos or irizume would be allowed in an onsen. However, because of the recent, I think, economic state of onsens, a lot of them are actually going downhill. So a lot of them are becoming a little more lenient towards people with tattoos who want to come into an onsen. I myself have never been a fan of onsens. I just thought it would be a good cultural experience, and I've never really cared about it for onsens. However, I was lucky enough to suggest that if you can, you're going to be in there with other naked men who will most likely be staring at you because you are a foreigner and because you have tattoos. Okay, so let's go into a little bit of both body modifications and tattoos and my experiences in this country with them both. Okay, so as a teacher coming in as an ALT, I knew that I had to cover up. So of course I would keep myself covered up at all times. My first job, I stayed covered up. I wore light t-shirt, long sleeve shirts, and in a sense, it's actually good if you have tattoos because it keeps your tattoos fresh. They don't fade as much if you have them covered up, okay? But, yeah, there were times where it was incredibly hot, humid, and I still had to stay covered up. And, my first job, first coworker, who was Japanese, I remember her asking me, "Why do you always stay covered up?" And she figured out that I had tattoos, but she didn't say anything. She didn't go behind my back and say anything. She just said, "Okay." She never understood why people would get them, which is the kind of response that I get from a lot of people, Japanese and foreigners alike, even in the States. But let's go into another scenario in that same time. I had a subdermal hand implant. And what that is it's pretty much a silicone body mod injected into your hand, surgically put into your hand. And it's strange because in America, body modifications are kind of the extreme from tattoos. But in Japan, it's the reverse. So a lot of people don't know what a body modification is. And because it's not perceived as negative, or it has a bad connotation, then most people don't really care. I mean, I remember the kids would always ask the sensei, "What is it? Or what is it? What is this in my hand? Sensei, Eigo no sensei, nande desu ka? What's that in my hand?" And then we'll point to it, and the teacher would just look at it and say, "I don't know." And so I would always say omomori, which is a good luck charm, because essentially that's what it is. That's what it symbolizes, is a good luck charm. And then they would understand and they would say, okay, so it's a spiritual thing. But as far as body modifications go, I don't think you would have too many issues with that. Piercings, I'm not really that familiar with. I think piercings are the same as the same rules apply with piercings as they do with tattoos. Except with piercings, you can't have them in when you're working, but you can have them outside and it's okay. The tricky thing with tattoos is if you're a foreigner, they say once you're a teacher, you have to be mindful of where you work, and you're pretty much a teacher 24/7. You're not just on the job, but you're on the job mentally 24/7. And what I mean by that is, if you work let's say you work in a small community or even a big community that's in a big city. Let's say you did something like go to a soap land, and a student saw you or a parent saw you. Then that could get back to work that you went to a soap land, and that could possibly damage your reputation and the company that hired you. And so that could cause some concern. Also, let's say you have tattoos, okay? The tattoos are out playing public, and a kid sees you. Well, that could cause a lot of issue as well. And it could get back to your company, and that could possibly end up bad for you. So, for my advice for the tattoos, just stay covered up. Body modifications you don't have to worry about. However, with this recent job, they did tell me to cover up my body mod, and that's only because the kids are a lot younger. Now, if they're middle school and high school, I don't think it's a big cause for controversy. In fact, I don't think it's a big issue at all. They more so focus on how you act. But from my opinion, I guess it depends on which company you work for, what grade level you're dealing with. But as a whole, body modifications are not a big issue. Tattoos, you can come to some onsens with. And also, let's go to the price range. Okay, let's talk about that. Now, some of you may have heard how expensive it is to get a tattoo in Japan. Well, I was informed by a tattoo artist that the reason for that is the location. So it depends on the location. If you're out in Japan, the country, rural area, or small towns or small cities, then tattoos more than likely are not going to cost a lot. But if you move in closer into the city, Tokyo, Osaka, heavily, where they have to pay a lot of rent, then yeah, they're going to charge you a lot. Prime example, the tattoo that I wanted to get, well, the one that I get now, I actually got it a lot less than what I originally planned for it to be. So as a whole, it was supposed to be, I think, 100,000 yen, I think, altogether. That's what this one guy was charging me. He wanted to charge me 100,000 yen, but another guy ended up charging me like 2,600 yen per session. And so, yeah, that was a lot cheaper than what this guy was charging, what the other guy was trying to charge me. So just keep in mind that there are tattoo artists out there, tattoo studios, who will charge a lot, mainly because of the rent and not because of the quality. I'm not saying that's all, but that is the case with some, okay? The artist that I'm with now, he's actually pretty good. I mean, so far he hasn't messed up on any of my tats. I've seen some of his work, and it's pretty good. In fact, there are two artists. One that I came across in Sendai. and he did my first Japanese tattoo. And because I had to relocate, I had to find another tattoo artist in the area that I reside in now. And I mean, he's doing pretty good. I mean, down to earth guy, very good. So you have to keep in mind that price wise, it depends on the location. Sometimes it's not about quality, but location. Now, there are some great artists. I mean, some great tattoo artists who are legendary, who have been doing it for generations and generations and generations. And those guys, it takes a year to even book a session with them. I've tried. One guy I wanted to get my tattoo by was Hiroshi the Third. I did research on him back when I was in the States, and I thought it would be so amazing if I could get him to do my tattoos. But I looked at his website and his booking hours, and wow, he was like, next year I could book, and so I just didn't want to wait that long. Okay. But unfortunately, this is probably going to be a short little video about tattoos. But yeah, to sum it all up, tattoos are okay in certain areas. You will see other people with tattoos out who are Japanese. Usually, a lot of people, the locals know who are Yakuza. So it's kind of strange, in my opinion, that they would freak out if they saw a foreigner with tattoos. Because from my experience, most of the people who live in the area for a long time or who know the area pretty well, if they're Yakuza in that area, then everybody knows who is actually Yakuza. So yeah, onsens, I suggest private onsens as opposed to public. Even as a guy with tattoos, private onsens are amazing. I'm not saying that public onsens are bad, but it's just not my thing. And body modifications, I don't think they're as bad as tattoos are considered in this country. So if you have body mods, hey, don't worry. And that concludes my little segment for the tattoos and body mods. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to send me an email or even leave a little message or something. Remember, keep it positive, and we can discuss, okay? You guys take it easy. Talk to you later. Bye.